Do you smell that? I smell bad advice and bad trade ideas. It's 2025. It's 2025. We are back. Welcome back to the channel. Supercoach is here. Finally. I've been a little late to the party. I've been living life. I've been traveling. But it's time. The Gutho gorillas have arrived. So let's rip into it, okay? What I'm going to do, I'm just going to fluff through a very light draft team, okay? Very light. Just going to go over all the options that I think will be okay. But I'm telling you right now, this team will change 100 times before and after the trials finish. So let's get into it. Let's start with all of our hooker options, okay? So obviously, Harry Grant will very likely be the number one choice. Will he be the best scoring again? Probably. Do you want to spend 690K? Probably. Are there going to be a lot of cheapies in the second slot? Yes, at this point. Let's go over them, okay? So let's just start off with the whole idea of let's just chuck Grant into the starting spot, okay? So Grant's in, right? Then we want to discuss where we're at when it comes to our second slot and the cheapy options. And I believe that there's maybe like 3 or 4. Let's have a look. So highest percent owned is obviously Sandon Smith. Now, Sandon Smith, in my opinion, I'm probably going to put him in the halfback slot. Next is obviously Peter Mamouzelos. Now, he looks to be the guy to go to when it comes to that cheap slot. But there's also been reports that Corey Pakes has popped up as the front runner for the Broncos 9. Now, he's like 230K. If he at least plays 50 minutes, at least, let's just say 40, 45 minutes, 50 is like a good case scenario. That's good. That's good. More than happy to have a 230K player play 50 minutes. So I'm going to put Pakes in for now. Obviously, the other options, you've obviously got Mamouzelos, Pakes. What else? Let's have a look. So you've got Moser. Now, I think people were hoping that Moser was going to be in line for that 9 jersey. I don't think that's going to happen based on reports alone. Your other cheap options will be %3 have finished Crossland. Wow. There's really not much going on in the hooker spot, actually. Peter Mamouzelos, Sandon Smith, Moser, and Pakes are you cheapies. Yeah, wow. I think it's going to be a relatively straightforward pick when it comes to trials. There's going to be one clear-cut option when it comes to your cheap hooker option, and I think most people are going to run that. So I'm just going to put Grant and Pakes in just to start off with. We're going to go through and we're just going to get a rough draft side. This is just off the cuff, okay? So let's go into our front row. Now, Terrell May, in my opinion, is a no-brainer. If you're not happy to spend upwards of $597 for a front rower, that's fine. But I personally believe that he will not drop much in price, if any. So that's what you're going to get out of him, 59. I see at least maybe 5 points in value. I think he averages about 65-ish. I don't think... Yeah. I'll say 65, but I could definitely be wrong. I could be underdoing him, so we'll see. My second slot is going to be the horse. He looks fit. He looks fit. He looks ready. If he can get a sniff back into that Origin form that he had, he's going to make an absolute mockery out of that 355k. I think he'll go straight up to that 500, 550k mark pretty quickly. I'd say within 8 weeks, 7 to 8 weeks. Or maybe not 8 weeks, maybe 10. We'll go 10. Now, the two front rower cheapy options that I'm considering are Royce Hunt. Reports are that he is looking to get a starting spot with May. And obviously, if that's the case, 249k for a starting front rower. I mean, you'd have to be pretty silly not to go with that. So, 249 for Royce. My second spot, I mean, look, Tom Amone just got signed, but he's giving me like those Pele vibes. He's 24% owned. Like, I'm very confident he's going to be a Franklin Pele. I just don't like playing around with those real dirt cheap Bulldogs front rowers because there's about 3,500 front rowers at that comp. So, yeah. We'll move on. So, our last spot. I'm thinking about putting Nafur White there, but I don't know if I want to put him there or put him in the second row because in that way I can rotate between him and Corey. Yeah, 10% owned Tonga. I don't know if he's even going to get a starting, I don't know if he's going to even be in the 17 for the Dragons. There's a lot of competition in that pack at the moment. There's really not much going on for the two cheapies at the moment in front row. There really isn't. I think I'll probably just put in. It's hard. I really want to actually just have Tino there, because even though the first round bye, if he impresses during the trials, I'm just worried that he doesn't play round 1 and they just make sure that he's ready to go for round 3. That's all I'm worried about. Round 2, sorry. Wait, I just said the most stupidest thing. Of course he's not playing round 1. He's got the bye. So, yeah. I don't know. I'll put him in. I'll put him in now, and let's just play around with it. Now, second row. I kind of want to go down that path of having one gun and 2 mid-range options that have value, in my opinion. So, in my opinion, I want to start with someone who is going to be just an absolute base beast that I know will get me a decent score round 1. And there's one guy that comes to mind, and his name is Isaiah Yeo. So he's going in, he's slotting in nicely. The next 2 players for me are the 2 players that I believe has the most value when it comes to 2RF, and I think that they're going to go up the most, okay, early on, okay. So I'm going to go with Tuilagi from the Eels. I think with recent reports that Sean Lane has gone for surgery, so I don't know if he's going to be completely ready for round 1. Even though Lane has been moved to the middle, I think that Tuilagi's main threat was Lane on that edge. So taking away that threat, I think Tuilagi is going to hold down that spot quite well. My third one I really like. See, look, there's 4% that own Piacora. I have PTSD from Piacora. I really don't know if I can go back there. I don't know. Very likely won't go back there. So I'm also looking at I want to put Kobe Hetherington on the bench. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put White. So I thought about maybe White in the front row bench, but White down the bottom there. If he can jag decent minutes, I think you're going to get at least maybe 50 points, 50, 55, which is perfectly fine in my opinion, just for now, okay? I don't know if there's much upside, but I think you can get some form of consistency out of him. Righto. Halfback. It's either Cleary or Hines. I think if you're going to play around with it, you might fall behind early. And for me, I've seen too many seasons where Cleary starts slow. The old, like he just had surgery. I don't know how good his preseason's been, blah, blah, blah. Nico Hines at 730K is absurd. Like if we can get even a glimpse of a Nico Hines from 2023 at 735K, it's just a matter of what the Trindle effect will be. I'm leaning towards Nico. I really am. But I also know that I'm probably going to want Cleary quickly as well. So I'll go with Nico for the time being, purely on value alone. Okay, purely on value alone. My 5'8". Now, I think that we're going to be having a few discussions around 5'8" when it comes close to the season. I think there's value in Cody. I think there's value in Munster at 600K. I think there's value in Metcalf. I think there's value in Tanner Boyd if he starts. If the Warriors look to maybe get some form of long kicking game into their game, he would be a definite second backup 5'8". I don't know about anyone else that stands out. I think Dearden gives you that 59 value. I think he's priced. I think Galvin's priced. I think everyone's priced. I really do. I can't see Brooks doing anything. I'm not touching him with a 10-foot pole, especially after last year. He started well, but then absolutely shit the bed. Yeah. So for me right now, my gut is actually telling me Burton purely because of the Bulldogs' draw. And I think the Bulldogs actually improve on last season. Munster at 600K is so tempting. I just don't like the idea of having someone that I know I'll actually have to end up trading out come June. That's why the appeal for Burton, the appeal for Cody, the appeal for Dylan Brown is there, because if you plug them in now, you're pretty much going to set and forget. I'm going to go with Burton for now. Now, this is where the fun starts, all right? So I'm early on going to be purely relying on solid base stat center wings. People who I know that I can rely on that will, if they don't score a try, they'll still probably score you like 40-ish. Now, with Manly's draw, Garrick for me is an absolute no-brainer. I think if you're going to start with a gun in centre wing, it's going to be either Garrick or Karaz. I think you can mix it up a little bit with maybe the likes of Lomax, because Lomax is going to be kicking goals now. But his price, I think he's like 790K. You spent, like, that's a lot. Like 680 for Garrick is like really pushing it. But yeah, pretty upset about Campbell Graham's injury, fractured hand. He was an absolute he was plugged in. He wasn't leaving my side for a bit there. Now that he doesn't know when he's coming back, I mean, hopefully it's just a small fraction. He's back in a few weeks' time, but we'll have to see what happens. But my second centre wing spot, I'm actually going to take a little punt on Jack Howarth. So I think with the season that he had last year, he was in and out. He's a year older, more experienced. I think 426K, I think you're looking at about 10 points of value there. I think he can get up to about that 550, 530, 520. And then obviously like down the track, you want to upgrade him to someone else. I think 426 is unders for Howarth. So especially with a consistent starting spot. Yeah. Third, I'm going to go with Skelton. So I think he is, from what I can see in his game, he has that Marzu 2.0 about him. Not the Marzu of last year, the Marzu of 2023. I think at 490K, if the Tigers can start well and he can start scoring tries, I think you're looking at a player that could average 60, 65. It's the Tigers though. So it's going to be really dependent on how they look in the trials, the connection that he brings. I don't know. So for now, at 499K, I think his base and his ability, I think you're looking at someone who can average, well above 499K. So he's my third. My fourth, now I thought about chucking in a real cheapie to go in there, like a Jackson Purdue. Surprise, surprise, I'm actually not keen on Jack Bird. I think I understand why. I'm a Dragon supporter. He's made of glass. Trust me when I tell you this, there's going to be a time where you're going to want to get him the fuck out of your side. I don't want to deal with that. And the way that I look at it is Jack Bird going to hurt you not owning him? The short answer is no. So I don't really want to follow the 34% of people that have him. It's going to be very, very interesting to see who gets that starting centre spot at the Roosters, and I think that's who I'll probably plug in. It's either going to be Billy Smith, Mark Alphabet, or Robert Toya. So it's either going to be out of those three, who knows. But for now, I'm just going to avoid them and try and find someone else. I really like Marzu at 513K. I really don't see how you're going to lose much value out of Marzu. I think that's, if he plays last year, if they go down the same path as like not involving him as much, I think you're going to get 500K, like 500 in value. I think if they go back to the ways where they were like utilizing him a lot and involving him in the attack, I think 500K is going to be an absolute mockery of what he can do. So Greg is in, but it's going to be trial dependent again. So we'll go from there. Fullbacks. I think it goes without saying, I think Tom is out and out the best choice, especially with that draw. I think it's like 5 out of 6 games at 4 Pines. I mean, that's like 5 weeks of captain choices right there, straight off the bat. My second fullback is very likely going to be Ponga at 790K. I don't know. Everyone's going to Latrell. They're like, yay, Latrell looks fit, blah, blah, blah. It's the same story every single year. Every single year. So we'll see how he looks in the trials. But at 790K, if Ponga, like I've seen Ponga destroy 790K value. Destroy. So, yeah, I really don't think that there's too much choices here. I think Drinky with the goal kicking, but they've got a tough draw. Walsh at 730K. I respect people for going Walsh, but I can't have that heart attack, man. I can't. 1 week he scores you 20, the next week he scores you 140. Yeah, no, it's not for me. My cholesterol's too high. I don't need a reason for my heart to go up and down like that. So Ponga. Now, the question is, do you go a third gun fullback or do you go with Isaiah Yongi? I'm probably going to go with the Yongi because at worst, let's just say at worst, he averages 40 to 50. That's going to get you up to 500k. And I'm sure by that time you'll have a couple of 100k to be able to pick up a fallen gun. The only difference is if you do start with 3-gun fullbacks, you have that luxury of downgrading one of the gun fullbacks that aren't performing and picking up Yongi before his price rise. That's the only positive out of it, which is a good positive, don't get me wrong. But that's what I'm going with at the moment. Let's go up to our second row reserves. So my second row reserves is I'm going to chuck in Finalizing. I think there's obviously plenty of value there at the 368k. I think Kobe Hetherington with that starting 13 role. And I believe, where is he? See, there's so many options. I really like Seyfarth. I think that if the Tigers can improve on last year, there's going to be some points to score, and he loves his base as well. So I really want to focus around base dominant players. I know Kelma Tuolagi isn't the best base dominant player, but he can score a try. So look, Hetherington, Seyfarth, White, Yo, they're all base dominant players. So I'm going to put Seyfarth in there. I might actually sub him into the starting spot and put White back to the bench. Looks a bit better. Halfback, Sandon Smith. I think that's a no-brainer. The 5'8" slot. Metcalf. We'll go over our... And then obviously I think the last 3 centre wing spots are just going to be plug-ins until we can figure out what's going on. So Jackson Purdue looks like he will get that starting spot. Who knows? We'll keep going down. How much cash have I got left? Oh, wow, I've got 132k left. Okay, so I have fuck all cash. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, for now, take Tino out because that's where all the cash is. And I'm going to take Grant out and I'm going to plug in my second option, which was Watson. So we'll go Watson. And then we'll go our second slot, which will be Miles Martin. And then we have 573k. So let's just think. So Jesse McLean, I actually don't think he gets a start in the 17. I think Casey McLean will take that spot on the wing, and you're going to have Alan Waddy in the centre there. I don't know. I think 27% ownership. I think it's just people following the crowd there. I really don't think that's going to come into play for people. How much? 573k. Do you know what? I really thought about this. Jesse Arthurs, if the Broncos start well, Jesse Arthurs is one of those players that can just do absolutely nothing throughout the game, but score you 3 tries. I'm going to put Jesse Arthurs there. And in the meantime, just for a pure placeholder, I'll put Robert Toya and we'll see what happens. If he does get the start, he's there. If he doesn't, I'm going to have to play around with things. But that is how I'm looking leading into the trials. I think it's a pretty good template. I'm not going to say that this is bang on, this is what you need to do. I think it's a good template. You want to start with a decent hooker with a cheap. You want to start with a decently priced front row with someone who's got value. You want to start with one gun 2RF with some value. You want to start with one gun center with some value. That's the type of, for people who are only just starting to play Supercoach, that's the type of template that you want to have. You want to have gun value, gun value. If you want to go down the 3-gun fullback, you can downgrade to Isaiah Yongi if it flops. Okay, so that's me at the moment. Okay, so this is just a very, very quick 25-minute welcome back. How you going? How's your father type of podcast. And yeah, good to be back. Good to be back. And I will continue doing some content. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking. How's your team going? Ask me as many questions as you want. I'll get back to you all. Yeah, love to be back. Cheers, guys.